What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode number 53 of Week in Review. You're probably wondering to yourself, why, Sean, are you so tiny in the corner and there's another version of you from a year ago in the big screen? Well, this is the 53rd episode, and it's the year anniversary of me starting this particular show, so I thought it would be fun or interesting to go back and watch the original trailer and watch the original episode and kind of maybe give you some behind the scenes stuff, talk about how the show originated, or just point and laugh at myself, or point out that I didn't actually ever watch The Bling Ring, and we'll find out more about that in a minute. So, we're gonna watch the trailer, and I'll kind of tell you a little bit about it. Super interesting. Like, first note is look at that shelf. There's like 2 seasons of Smallville back there. Looks super weird. I bought that mug. I think I bought that glass like the day before I started recording this show, and yeah, I don't know. It's I thought it'd be fun. So we'll start the trailer here, and aside from the background thing, the first thing you'll probably notice is I goof up. I uploaded the wrong video, and I didn't realize that until today. I was like researching to make sure I had the right one so it lined up correctly. And there are two videos that are under very similar titles. And basically what happens is I export it from the system I use called OBS, and then I never watched that movie. Didn't do that. Still unopened. Man, I love that game. Anyway, it exports from the system I use called OBS, which is what records this. And it exports according to the date, which you can see in that bottom left-hand corner. And when I exported it from Adobe Premiere, it uses the same file name, and I didn't cut off the front part. So there's like 6 seconds in this video that shouldn't even be there. And I uploaded that to YouTube. So it's the dumbest start to a video series like of all time. It's like 10 seconds of me goofing up. But going back to this video, the Pop-Tarts are going to be in the first episode. Okami never gets opened. The Bling Ring never gets opened. And I never did a Blu-ray in-depth sort of thing. It just never worked out. So that's the trailer. So here we have the first episode of Week in Review. It runs 13 minutes. It covers The Post. It covers Proud Mary, NBA Playgrounds. I'm reading my own mouth here. The limited edition Pop-Tarts. Those are cool. I'm sure I have the box around here still somewhere because they're really bad. And basically, like, What's Up Everybody is pretty much just stolen from Greg Miller. But we won't tell him. Don't worry about it. Hey, thanks Greg Miller. I listen to your stuff enough to where you're constantly in my head. Sometimes I dream about you. That's irrelevant. Um, Man, that shelf is messy. It really is kind of annoying. So the first movie that gets reviewed on this show is The Post. The first piece of content that gets reviewed on this show is The Post, which I was kind of surprised about because I thought that it was Proud Mary first, then The Post, then NBA Playgrounds, and then the limited edition item. But I had the two movies flipped. So The Post gets the inaugural award for first thing on the show. Congratulations, I guess. I have another award for Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep to put into their respective cabinets of Academy Awards and stuff like that. And this show came about, the show Week in Review came about because I was looking for a way to get into content creation, but I didn't really know how that would best fit me. When I was in high school, I took a film studies class and I took a filmmaking class, and I liked that idea, but it just didn't really like click with me because I don't feel like I'm a very good writer, and I don't think like I'm all that interesting or whatever. And I really love video games at the same time, and I just couldn't ever see a way to merge that until I started watching like gameplay videos and listening to podcasts. In like 2013 was when I finally started to put it together of like, hey, you can do this in a way that can service both of your interests, film and video games for the most part. And then shoehorning in like limited edition crap. And then that mug, which is super weird because I bought that like a day before. And then I was like, man, this is a really cool mug. I'm going to put it on this shelf, which is completely inconvenient to like any sort of grabbing that I may need to do if I want like a drink of water or anything. But the table that I use for the keyboard and the microphone and the notebook that you can see in the bottom isn't tall enough for it to be in frame. So I just put it there because I thought it was really cool. Also, I really love Ernie. And now that I've pointed out that mug, I've completely lost my train of thought. But what I needed to do, I think I have it here. Let's see if I have it here. What I wanted to do was create a show that could kind of service both of those needs. And so creating a show that is this malleable, where I don't have to have movies every week, I don't have to have games every week, I don't have to have a limited edition item every week. Ideally, I'd have at least two of those three, sometimes multiple of one, to maybe cover up for the lack in other categories and covering things that I'm excited for in the week ahead. Gave me an opportunity to completely watch movies one week and not have to worry about games. If I wasn't feeling games, then I'd have to force myself to do it, because one of the things that I don't know if it's struggle with, but one of the things that I do is, and this is like a story from like when I was a kid, I used to love reading, and as soon as I got to school and it became an assignment, I didn't want to do it. And that's still a thing that I kind of have to deal with, where I know that if I have to watch a movie or if I have to play a game, I'm not going to enjoy it. Like, I want it to be as natural and as interesting as possible, but I also don't want it to feel forced in a way that is disingenuous, because I do love both of these things and I want to share my love of that with you and you, the viewer, you being the viewer. And that's like the other part of it is my angle, because I don't have any sort of professional writing credits or in-depth like analysis of like film and thematics elements and themes and blah blah blah. Like, I was reading a Twitter thread that Guillermo del Toro, who's an Academy Award winning director, was talking about how in the movie Roma, all of the realizations are in reflections, and like that's just stuff that I'm not going to pick up on because I don't have that kind of training. So my idea was to not only talk about the things that I love, but talk about them in a way that is like pretty basic. Like, I'm not going to go super in depth on what did it mean in the post, or what did it mean in Proud Mary when this thing happened and the shot was in the reflection. What is that? How does that speak to me? No, I'm going to talk more about like why I love this movie, or why I don't really like this movie, or why I like this game. And it's going to be on a very basic level. And I want to use that as like, hey, I'm just a dude that just loves this stuff, and I want to share that with you, the viewer. So let's see. Talking about something. Proud Mary. Oh, no, actually NBA Playgrounds. I stuck with the game for achievements. That was something else I really, really enjoy. I like achievements in video games. I've fallen off of talking about games and the achievements I earn with them, because I don't know if people really care all that much. And the naming of the episodes was one of the things that I wanted to name after something in the episode, which is probably a good idea that I need to be more consistent with, because that is like how people will click on it. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, the video title, Falling in Love for the Low, Low Price of $69.99, is probably a clever and fun video title, but isn't probably going to get people in because it doesn't mention anything about Hyperkin or a Duke or an Xbox controller in any of that. It's just like a silly, clever title that I thought of. And I mean, I don't know, this is stuff that I enjoy because I think it's fun, and those are the types of titles that I really like, but they probably don't do much as far as like the viewership aspects of it go. Here we go, still talking about NBA 2K Playgrounds. Actually, no. Weirdly enough, this is NBA Playgrounds before they got bought by 2K. I mentioned the way that shelving looks earlier. I'm surprised down in that bottom, what is that? The bottom left-hand corner, there's a red thing. It's a Nintendo Switch controller charger, and I don't know why that's there. I'm really glad I fixed that controller, or the way the shelf looks. The pig moved up 4 whole slots, which is super interesting. But I've gotten a lot of cool stuff over the year. Limited edition is one of my favorite segments to do, which I might want to rename Poor Purchasing Decisions or Questionable Purchasing Decisions, because that's basically what it boils down to at this point. It has unfortunately put me in a bit of a bad habit of buying things specifically for content and then never really using them. So there's a bunch of crap in a cabinet downstairs. So a bunch of like ideas that I never got to or took too long to get to, and it fell out of season, or I don't know, stuff like that. It's kind of weird. There's like a bunch of 7-Eleven donuts that are sitting down there that I looked at and I was like, man, you know what? I'll get to these one of these days. It'll be a limited edition. I bought them specifically for it. Never got to them. Never, ever used them. One of the odd things about making this particular show, and it's a reason that the Blu-ray deep dive thing that I mentioned in the trailer actually never happened, was the surprising amount of time it takes to actually make this particular show. And it's one of those things where I was thinking about it as I was walking home today about like, what do I want to talk about when I'm talking about how I make the show, or how I came up with the idea, blah blah blah. Was like, man, I really should have like made a pilot episode that covered 2 or 3 things that I really like and have a full grasp and understanding of. And I actually realized that I forgot to mention one of the things that got talked about. One of the games that got talked about was Batman Arkham Asylum, which is something that I know and I really enjoy. What I should have done was, I should have done that for 2 reasons. I should have come up with 3 things to talk about for 2 reasons. One, so I feel like I have a better grasp and understanding of what it's like to sit in front of a camera and talk about something. But making it something that I know and understand makes that easier, because I understand and know why I like or dislike it. I don't know why I would talk about anything that I don't like, but especially like it's specifically the case with Batman Arkham Asylum. I know I like that game. That game's an awesome Metroidvania. It's an awesome Batman game. Mark Hamill's great, so on and so forth. That makes it easy to talk about. The second reason is so that I understand in my head the time it takes to record and edit these videos. So just as like a fun fact, usually takes about an hour or so to record. I try to cut it down to 4 segments, 5 segments, depending on the week. Some weeks are busier than others. One of the things I've tried to do in recent months is to try and actually cut down and not have such long episodes. It seems like every video has ranged from 9 minutes to 30 minutes, and that seems like kind of too wide of a range to me in my head. So one of the things I've tried to do is try to cut it down. I want to hit 10 minutes to 15 minutes, somewhere in there, and kind of keep it basic like that. And if I can, hold on to one of the items for a different week. If it's already something I'm late to the game to, it's not, obviously a huge time hurry. And for like, just as like a fun fact, I probably use about 50% of the footage that I shoot. It takes about an hour to record, which means it takes about an hour to edit, hour and a half to edit. It takes about 10 to 20 minutes to export, sometimes 30, depending on the type of video that's being shot on. The one of the episodes was shot on an actual video camera in 1080p. The regular show was only filmed in 720p, and so that bumped up the amount of time it took to get the final product exported, because it was exporting at a higher resolution. So then basically what happened was, I was like, man, this takes a lot longer to record than I assumed. It also takes a lot longer to edit than I assumed. And so the first thing to go was the Blu-ray deep dive, which I haven't done a single one of. I never really even thought about it, because it's hard to justify spending, like, Snowpiercer is the movie that I used as the example. The movie itself is 2 hours. There's at least 2 hours of special features, and whatever commentaries are on there, that's another 2 hours, because the movie's 2 hours. And as much as, like, that would be interesting, and as much insight as I would gain into that movie and be able to talk about it a little more in depth, one, the opinions wouldn't be super original, and two, it's not worth it for like 8 minutes of footage. Like, that's like a disproportionate amount of time. As I'm saying this, I now realize, like, in games, I spend a lot of time in games and don't talk about them very long, so it's a hard balancing act. It's just one of those things where I looked at it and I was like, this cuts into a whole day where I could knock out a small game and go to a movie, and I just didn't feel like it made sense. It made sense theoretically, because I never filmed a pilot episode, so I didn't have any concept of time, and so that was the first thing I got cut. The other thing that I noticed very early on was, if you notice, The trailer is all one shot, like start to finish one shot. And for some reason, I was so dedicated to that idea on that first day. I was like laser focused and locked into that that sort or that style of video that I like it became my life's goal and life's mission to do it that way. But it doesn't make any sense because I'm trying to force myself to memorize and do 6 or 7 different things, but I can only remember 3 or 4 of them, and I'm getting frustrated and I'm getting irritated. And I'm sure I forgot to mention stuff, which is fine because I barely even hit what I said I was going to hit in the trailer anyway. And I uploaded the wrong trailer in the first place, and so, oh boy, did I lose my train of thought? I may have lost my train of thought. Me pointing got me all distracted. And so I did that. I posted the trailer, shared it out, went to record the next day, maybe 2 days later after I had written all my stuff out for the 2 games, 2 movies, and a limited edition item. And I kept trying to get the post done, and I kept trying to get that done over and over and over again, and I was really struggling with it. And I sat there and I was like, I don't know why I'm so hung up on this single take mentality. I watch videos that are cut up all the time. Why is this bothering me so much? And so it was this weird like moment of realization of like, man, I wish I had had this idea 24 hours ago so I could fix the trailer and make it what I want it to be. But I'm kind of stuck with it how it is, and I can improve and make sure that the first episode feels the way I want it to feel, and I feel like it turned out really, really well. So there you go. There's a different style of content. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, you can scroll on down and hit that subscribe button. You can leave a comment down there below letting me know what you think. If you have any questions or anything you want to ask me, I'd be happy to answer, maybe even in a future video. If I'd like to put my headphones on correctly so they don't fall off my head, that would also be very, very helpful. Down in the description, there is a link below if you want to click on that and join in on the March Mascot Madness Tournament Fun. You can go fill out your bracket now. Please do. It's going to be awesome. Again, that kicks off on March 2nd over on twitch.tv/ShaunosaurusRex. It's going to be a lot of fun. Fill out your brackets today. And be sure to check back every Tuesday for more Week in Review. See you next week. Oh, you'll also notice that there's no outro because I hadn't actually filmed that. I just randomly filmed that one day. So here's your outro. See you next week.